The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to a Phillies edition of the Phixated Podcast. I am your host, Mike Eslina, and I'm joined by a man who joined me on opening day, Regz. We're back. It was a lengthy miss out for us.
It was, but stuff was going on. Sometimes things happen. We had busy weekends of baseball and other stuff, but here we are. And again, I think it might be good. I think we've gotten past the emotional, like how emotional we would have felt if we had recorded on that Thursday after the Yankees series.
Yeah.
It would have been the tone of this podcast would have been very different.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think you're 100% right. I think we are pretty much in a place now where we've settled.
Yes.
And are ready to sort of drive forward. Now.
They've won more than one game, which is a plus. They are beating Sandy Alcantara tonight. So,
yes. Yes.
The past couple days have been good.
Well, I mean, yesterday wasn't great.
No, yesterday wasn't fantastic. That's for sure.
Yesterday wasn't great. And I think, again, so many of these things happening early on make it hard, right? It's when you think about, I was talking to someone earlier tonight and they made a good point. They sort of got blitzed out of the gate right away that first series. Like the whole Reese injury, they never settled into that.
Yeah.
They never had their chance to settle into that.
Yeah, you could see how they were kind of, I don't know if it's not as hype or not. Like, you never want to say they're sort of dogging him because they're professional athletes. Like, it's their job to kind of keep pushing through whatever. But it literally happened, 3 days before they had to go start the season. And Reese was getting surgery the same day of opening day. Like, he was just down the road in Dallas getting surgery. So I think, there's a little bit of that. Again, I think it still wasn't great. Everyone just looked kind of not ready to play real baseball.
Yeah.
Again, who knows what the reason that is? Like, I don't know why to every person on that team looked like, oh, we're playing major leaguers now. Like, they were almost surprised. Like, they thought they had one more spring training series left. I don't know, man. It was really weird. It was like and then Aaron just losing the plot in the fourth inning for just no reason.
Yeah.
Like, and then blaming it kind of on the pitch clock. Like, dude, you had all spring to, like, they didn't spring the pitch clock on you today. Like, I get it. You got to get used to it in a real game scenario, but it seemed like a weak excuse at the time. I mean, luckily he's bounced back in his next start to pitch pretty well. But just everybody didn't look like they were ready to play.
Yeah. And then, you go to New York and we knew that was going to be tough. But they competed a lot better in New York than they would have otherwise. And again, a road trip to start the year, especially against two teams that, one's a perennial favorite. The other is an underdog pick in a lot of places this year. And so they got to come home and play a team who wasn't great, and they should have swept. But law of averages in baseball, as a friend of the show, Adam, likes to say, they win the game on Saturday night that they had no business winning, and they lost the game on Sunday afternoon that they had no business losing.
Yeah.
And you're not winning every game, and they do have a nice run this month of baseball teams that they should be able to take care of. And right now, they're doing what they should be doing to a lesser Marlins team. I will tell you this: a piece to what I've noticed about their losses to this point is free passes. They're walking too many guys. They're walking too many guys. Yesterday, I think 4 of the guys they walked ended up scoring.
Yeah.
And they scored 6 runs. The Reds scored 6 runs. You cannot give away bases in Major League Baseball and live to tell about it.
Yeah, Taijuan had again, he looked pretty good for almost the whole game. And then we got to that 5th inning, I think it was. And it just kind of, they had to come out and check on him for something. He had to jump off the mound and he might have looked like he tweaked something. He said he was fine. And then he just kind of, you and I were talking about this, he just kind of lost control of his splitter. Like it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
And that's his that's his out pitch. Like that's the pitch that he goes to get guys out. So if you don't have control of that, there's really nothing blowing you away about Taijuan Walker. And at that point, his velocity was down. It was at 92 instead of 90. He was hitting 96 against the Yankees, where he pitched well. And again, he only gave up the 1 run or the 2 runs. So it really wasn't bad. It was just a little bit off. And again, to a team like the Reds, 2 runs means a little bit different than if you're facing the Braves or the Mets or some of the other teams that, this team has to face down the stretch.
But even with the Yankees, when you think about that 1st inning, he wasn't close to the strike zone and
No.
he wasted a lot. He wasted a lot of pitches.
Yeah.
And it caused him not to get deep in games. And I don't know that I remember him struggling that much with control last year when he was a Met, but that's because it seemed like he owned the Phillies. So that could potentially be why.
Yeah.
But and again, I think, hopefully that comes around. Right now, they're the 2 guys who are commanding the strike zone the most, at least through their 2 starts, have been Bailey Falter and Matt Strahm.
Yeah. And unbelievable.
Yeah. And I mean, it just goes to show if you throw effective, useful strikes, it is very difficult in Major League Baseball to hit.
Yeah.
And both of those guys have thrown effective, useful strikes. Whereas Nola did it in 1 start, Wheeler did it in 1 start, and Taijuan just hasn't done it yet. It doesn't mean he won't. He just hasn't yet.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, they won the Wheeler start that he did it in. They're on their way to winning both Matt Strahm starts. They won a Bailey Falter start, and they only lost by a run.
Yeah.
In the other Bailey Falter start. So, and they've lost both Taijuan Walker starts. The other thing yesterday, and we don't have to spend a whole lot of time here, I just think it needs to be said. I don't know what was going on with the base running. I don't know if they were just trying to do too much. I know Marsh talked about the day before the crowd and how loud it was, and I wonder if some of that was playing into it. They were just excitable because 3 blunders.
Yeah.
I mean, really 4, because Schwarber's first one was a blunder.
Oh, he just got lucky, right?
And then Castellanos right behind him with the blunder, and then the Marsh blunder, and then Schwarber again.
Yeah.
So they left 2 runs on the scoreboard last night.
Yeah. Yeah. And really, again, chances to just sort of maybe extend an inning or keep a rally going, that those plays just kill all momentum. They just absolutely destroy it. So it's just tough it's tough, even though you're winning. It's one of those games where you could just kind of tell too many weird things were happening. Yeah. And something was going to go wrong. You weren't sure when.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a well executed game. It was a sloppy game. And because it was the Reds, you were still up 4-2, going into the 8th and 9th.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, more walks lead to a run in the 8th. And then Sir Anthony just looked like he was way off, just pulling pitches and not even close to the strike zone.
Weird game.
And just, again, Sir Anthony hasn't looked very good.
I seem to remember last year he struggled out of the gate too.
Yeah, and it was very much mechanics based.
Yeah.
So it was just like it was tough. I don't know what it. Again, he was pulling something. His pitches were just way off.
Yeah.
It wasn't a great like 1-2. Again, I think getting Kimbrel out of the ninth was a good idea. I just don't know how good he's going to be. He can't throw hard enough anymore to offset that slider, especially when he's not locating the slider. Like the slider was just off, and he just couldn't throw it for a strike.
I do think the plan there was to try and get through that part of the order with Kimbrel. I think it should have been Sir Anthony that inning.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I think we're sort of in a spot right now where he's testing out this bullpen. Here's something to think about. At some point, Matt Strom's moving back out there.
Yeah.
I know that people really like what he's done starting, but they brought him here to pitch out of the bullpen, and he'll be a real weapon out there when Ranger gets back. I think more so than what a Bailey Falter could be, just based on his stuff.
Yeah, sure.
So that'll be nice to have him back there, because right now Alvarado's completely unhittable.
Oh my gosh. Like we got to take a second to talk about that guy.
Jonathan Brogdon's been, I do that all the time. Connor Brogdon's been good.
Yes.
You got kind of, another umpire situation yesterday.
Yeah, right.
Otherwise the bullpen has been okay. It's really just like the Sir Anthony thing, which again I'm not concerned about, and then Kimbrel, which I think this is who he is now. So
yeah, I think obviously the hope is that Kimbrel is your 7th inning guy. Sure. Like I just think Alvarado and Dominguez have to be your true high leverage guys. And I think Strom can be in there too. Like I think as another lefty who is proving that he can adapt and pitch in a lot of different situations. It's just, yeah, I get it. They're trying a few things. It's a little bit weird. Guys are not looking exactly where they want to be. But Alvarado, like, goodness gracious, man, that guy is just unhittable. Just unhittable. Yeah. We were standing behind home plate on Friday when he came in, and we just looked at each other like, how do you hit that? How do you hit that guy?
Did I see he struck out like 9 straight or something like that?
It's up to 11 or 12 over like 4 games.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He's just right now the type of guy who he's figured it out, and he's confident, and even when he doesn't have his best stuff, it's still better than other guys' stuff.
Yeah.
So we're very fortunate. I don't want him to be a closer. I feel like, so often I have this conversation with people, and like, I'm just not a closer person. And I want him to be the guy who comes in against the top of the order and mows them down, because truly there's 2 guys in that Reds order who scare you. It's like Jonathan India and Stevenson. Yeah. And I guess this week, Jake Fraley.
Yeah, right.
Pretty good too. But that's who I want him facing in those spots. Yeah. And I think that's the type of situation he should be put into. Let's jump before we jump into the offensive side of things a little bit more, because there are some definite things we have to talk about there. The ring ceremony, that was pretty cool. I mean, I don't know what I expected. I don't think I had like expectations for it. But I mean, and we can even talk a little bit about the opening day ceremony too, because we were there for that. I think what we saw with Rhys Hoskins, this is what I really wanted to talk about, was the Phillies' way of saying goodbye to him. Yeah. You don't let him be the last guy. It's kind of like what with Pat Burrell riding down Broad Street on the Budweiser float, like, you know what I mean, at the parade. Like, it's the send off to the guy who means the most to you. Now he keeps saying he's trying to get back, and we know that we talked about it. It's possible. Yeah. But I think this was the Phillies' way of saying, like, thank you.
Yeah, there's even an article that came out today, the Inquirer, talking about Reese and how kind of he went through, this mourning process, and he wasn't sure what the reaction was going to be when he came out, and, being nervous about it, obviously, and, the things that his teammates, expected nothing less, but he was, for whatever reason, nervous about, coming out. Obviously, everyone gave him the ovation that he deserves for the guy that he's been for this team for a while. It's just, I continue to kind of be a little bit, I still think a little bit of this is going to be that he might test the market, but he might not have the market that he expects. And I still think there's a chance the Phillies could keep him at a number that they feel better about for who he is, coming off an ACL injury. He's obviously trying to beat the timetable that they're giving him, which is 7 to 9 months. Schwarber, as is going to be used as the prime example, came back in about 6 months to hit for the Cubs. And he, obviously, as athletes do, he's trying to say, like, look, I'm trying to beat that number. Like, I'm trying to beat that timetable, just like Bryce is trying to beat the timetable of him coming back before the All-Star break. It's what athletes do, especially, high-level ones. So I continue to just have this somewhat glimmer of hope that he's going to get a send-off that he deserves. And maybe, I don't mean like a World Series or something like that, but just playing for this team, how we should remember Rhys Hoskins playing, and not hobbling around on crutches, with a big brace on his knee. So again, it's wishful thinking. I understand.
I think my problem with the possibility, I would love it, but for him to come back this year, they're a team of DHs.
Yes, that's very true.
So, like, he's not going to be able to play the field.
No.
And we don't know if Bryce is going to be able to play the field.
Not right away. He's going to hit 2 months before he's going to be able to throw.
Right. And even then, do you risk it? Because Castellanos has been fine out in right field.
Yeah.
Like, he's been fine. I just don't know that it's worth the risk. And especially if a guy like Jake Cave even contributes a little bit. Like, hitting ninth, who cares?
Yeah, true.
We've talked about this ad nauseum, and I think this is a good transition into the offense for a little bit. Cave to me has not looked supremely overmatched. Has he been great? No. But he hasn't looked like completely overmatched in any matchup in my eyes at all.
No, I completely agree. We talked about in the Ranger series how he hit the ball hard. It might not have turned into a lot, but he wasn't, like you said, he wasn't up there just like completely fooled by every pitch. He wasn't up there with weak swings and dribblers all over the place. Again, got the scoring started tonight against Alcantara. Hits his first bomb, like
put it right in his wheelhouse.
Oh yeah,
lefties love that pitch.
Just golfed it into right field. I agree. I think his at bats have been fine for a guy who you really can't have a lot of expectations from, who's going to hit at the bottom of the lineup. Like, all you can want from that guy is to go up and have decent at bats. Like, again, he's going to strike out or not get a hit most of the time. But it's a perfect way of saying it. He doesn't look overmatched. He doesn't look afraid of the situation. He doesn't look timid up there. He doesn't look like he's, like, sort of, he doesn't look nervous. He just looks like he's up there ready to go. And what's going to happen is going to happen. And again, it's Jake Cave. He's not going to light the world on fire.
No, and I think he doesn't have to. But the other thing to consider is there might come a point where, Schwarber's playing left field every day and Cassie's playing right field every day because Bryce is DHing, and that's just the way it has to be, like it was last year to get all those bats in the lineup.
Yeah.
And I'd anticipate them going to get a first baseman if they get to that point where, they're still in it and they have a lead, because they're going to need to figure that spot out. It can't be Cody Clemens
for sure.
And and as much as I love Edmundo Sosa, the shine comes off a little bit if he's playing too much. But let's talk a little bit more about the offense. I just saw a stat. Also, did you see Castellanos got thrown out of the game? Let's start with him.
I did.
I don't know that there's he's back, Regz. Like, he is back.
I mean, again tonight, hitting the ball hard, not swinging at a bunch of pitches he shouldn't, leading the league in doubles. Like, that is Nick Castellanos. Nick Castellanos is a doubles machine.
He's laying off the pitch. He's back, and the dancing off of third base, and
ejected
in an 11-run game.
Yep.
He's so in the button. I mean, soon he's not going to have any. Like, he's just going to be completely unbuttoned.
I can't wait. And there was Gelb had a pretty good article about him in The Athletic just a couple days ago. There was a picture of him at the home opener with his son, like, coming down the players' tunnel, and he talked about how if he could, he would have him with him all the time. Like, he just loves having his son around. And it seems like something that the Phillies are, embracing and allowing him to do to get him more and more comfortable. You certainly wouldn't imagine that Rob Thompson would be opposed to that, the kind of manager that he is.
No.
But it does come down to a locker room thing. Like, it could, in some locker rooms, you don't know, but obviously the Phillies are a place where he feels comfortable enough to do that. And so he just says, like, he is the one who, Brandon Marsh, solo home run to dead center. He's the one off a lefty.
He's next in the conversation. He's next.
He's doing all the things we wanted him to do. It didn't start great. A lot of people were kind of wavering in those first couple series about, he's kind of swinging a little bit. Sometimes he gets a little out of whack, but the eye seems to be much better. He's not jumping at everything. And just the fact that he's got almost 7 doubles already shows you that, like, he's doing what you would expect Nick Castellanos to do. And again, we talked about this from almost day one, that the more buttons he has go off, the better Nick Castellanos is. Like, that's how it goes. That's
when
how
when he's getting ejected in 11 run.
Yeah, that's how this works.
All right, let's do the Brandon Marsh thing, because this guy was once a top 50 prospect.
Yeah,
and became a little bit of an afterthought in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes here. You could see glimpses of it last year.
Yeah,
I think we're really starting to see why he was the top 50 prospect in baseball. The tools are clearly there.
Yeah.
The swing against lefties is exactly what it needs to be. It's short.
Mm-hmm.
It's quick. He's thinking about the other side of the field. He's thinking about up the middle. The ball he hit yesterday into the corner was a thing of beauty. I know what ended up happening. I get the end of it. But he's starting to look very much the part, and if he does become that, what a freaking trade by David Dombrowski. The forethought and Kevin Long, what an amazing job by him.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Here's what I want to highlight. Before that home run, he was leading the Phillies in OPS. 1.207. Bomer was 1.092, and Bryson is 0.912. They're really carrying the load right now as the veterans are still trying to find their way. Like, we know what Schwarber does. Like, we know that, even though he's having a nice night tonight.
Yes.
And Cassie's been fine.
Yes.
Cassie's been fine. JT has really been struggling.
Yeah.
I'm glad he gave him the night off tonight. I think this was a good decision by Topper, because JT against Sandy Alcantara.
Yeah, it was not going to be good.
When JT's swinging the way he's swinging right now, aside from that home run on opening day, like, this was the right time to give him a blow.
Yeah.
But those three, man, holy mackerel.
I mean, Bomer just continues to look like everything we expect, everything we wanted coming out of spring training.
That's our guy.
He just looks great. It just, the power again is like the thing that is so surprising.
Yeah.
Stubbsy's definitely hurt too, which stinks.
Oh no.
He's just like barely running to first. He just could have beat out a play and couldn't. That hamstring's bothering him. It's the same thing that was hurting him earlier when he was out for a little bit.
Yeah. Pache has a hit tonight.
Yeah,
too,
smoked one through the hole.
I mean, he had what, 2 hits on Saturday?
Yeah. Listen, Brandon Marsh needs to just play all the time.
I get it. But can Kevin Long be fixing somebody else?
I mean, if he does this to Christian Pache, excuse me, just like put him in the Hall of Fame as the greatest hitting coach that's ever lived.
It's truly unbelievable.
But Bomer, like, just he's not. It used to be a surprise when he would pull the ball.
Yeah, no.
And now the home runs he's hit have been monsters.
Mm-hmm.
But he continues to have the ability to just hit a single here, hit a double here. Like whatever he has to do, that ability is still there. And he's not, the best part about it is he's not pressing. He's not acting at the plate like he has to be this guy who hits 30 home runs.
Right.
He's not taking that approach at the plate. He just knows he has the ability to, like, if someone's going to hang one, he's like, I'm going to destroy this baseball.
Mm-hmm. Which makes him almost impossible to pitch to.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And then Stott, I didn't think he had some great at-bats in the first couple games, but has turned it around, has turned back into that guy who's just not going to swing at many balls, and just continues to get on base. I don't know. What else about Stott were you seeing? Like, because I know you love to talk about this guy.
Oh my God, first of all, let me talk about Bomer. You see the shirt I'm wearing?
Oh, there you go.
My Wichita State Shockers baseball. It's an actual baseball shirt.
Is it?
Too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, gift from my cousin. But I feel like with Bomer, he becomes a very difficult out because before you could bust him inside. That's the book. And now you can't do that.
Yeah. Because
he will turn on the pitch and he will be able to put it rows deep.
Yeah.
You know. This is what he does. And you know, man, what we have in him as a player, all I ever wanted was to have like the Austin Riley effect.
Yeah.
You know, give the guy a couple of years and then boom, there he is. And we got it. Like this is
him. And and you can't say anything about his defense anymore. It's just solid as a rock over there now. Again, is he Edmundo Sosa? Like, no. Did you see the play Edmundo made when the ball came out of his glove?
Yeah, we were standing like right basically next to third.
And he bare hands it and just fires a cannonball over there. Like, again, Alec Boehm's not going to be that. But the days of him being questioned or lacking the confidence to play the position are over.
Yeah. It doesn't, and he doesn't have to be that. Like,
no, but I think but the way he's taking this is like, I want to be the best defensive third baseman I can possibly be.
Yep. So Bryson Stott. This kid is such a student. We've heard it so many times. It's almost annoying now. He went back and watched every at bat of the postseason, and I love that he did it. I'm not saying he's annoying. I'm saying that they keep talking about it.
No, yeah, sure.
But he's such a student, and he learns every single at bat, and he's always picking people's brains, and he's smart. He's a smart player. The hit tool is unbelievable. His contact tool is unbelievable. The brain is he just functions in a different way than most second year ball players do. There was always something like as he was coming up that people are like, yeah, it's there, he's probably like a regular. He's gonna be a regular. He's gonna be like an average regular. I actually think there's something more there than an average regular. I think there's probably an all-star on both he and Bohm. And when you think about, our history, the college bat thing has always benefited the Phillies.
Yeah.
Pat Burrell, college bat. Ryan Howard, college bat. Chase Utley, college bat. Jimmy was not a college bat, but Jimmy was a special player.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the guys who, we think about being successful, at least in the course of our lifetimes, college bat. At least guys who carried this team for a long time. Now you got two more college bats kind of floating here right now.
Yeah.
They're both very good.
And you almost forget that Bohm has 2 more years than Bryson.
Mm-hmm.
And just think of all the ups and downs that Bohm has gone through,
right,
to get to where he is now. I think we a lot of people compare Bryson and Bohm because they think they come up together, but that's just not the case. Yeah. To have 2 more years of MLB experience on Bohm is why you see him turning into the guy he's turning into. Bryson still has a lot of things to unlock. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's ever going to be a guy who hits for power, but that's okay. But I think he's going to find the ability to hit for power to the gaps. That's sort of the next evolution of Bryson Stott. We love his ability to just dink any ball into the left field, right in front of the left fielder. It's amazing to have that ability. That innate ability will make you an unbelievably successful hitter. Yeah. And now it's finding that harder contact to be able to drive those balls into the gaps and all those different things. That's where I see the next step for Bryson. He's never going to hit home runs. He's never going to be probably a 25 home run guy.
No, it'll be a 10 to 15.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah. But there's nothing that could stop him from winning a batting title. With his ability, with his eye, with his ability to put the bat on the ball, if he just starts to get some of that power to the gaps, that's all you ever want out of a hitter would be Bryson Stott. And again, he's also moving positions. He's moving to second base from being a shortstop for a very long time. And he's been playing well over there. He's playing well defensively, and he's,
very smooth.
Yeah.
Very smooth.
So
they did, it's a final, 15-3.
Yep.
I just want to acknowledge something. Regz, 18 runs, 29 total hits between the two teams. 2 hours, 32 minutes.
Yeah. Wild, isn't it?
I gotta say, I actually really like this thing.
I was talking to another dad at my son's baseball practice tonight, and he literally asked if we had talked about the new rules on the podcast. So shout out Matt. And I was like, we haven't deep dove into it, but he's like, what do you think? I was like, I think eventually they might add 5 to 7 seconds. Because I think pitchers are going to need the ability to take a real breather. And I think I like that about baseball, that they have the ability to truly try and reset themselves, that the batter has time to take a step out of the box and truly kind of compose themselves. And I do think when we get to the playoffs, it might feel rushed because we're so used to those moments having this this gravity to them that I think we'll kind of miss. Again, the Bryce home run from last year is very different on a pitch clock. Mm-hmm. Very different. How we think of that moment, how that moment happened, is very different if these new rules are applied to it. So I think I'd like to see them add 7 seconds. I think that would put us at a perfect amount of time. But it kept my kids interested for longer. We stayed till almost the 7th inning. I couldn't tell you the last time that happened. Like we were 5 innings deep before we had to go over to the wiffle ball field that the Phillies have and let them run around a little bit. Like that's great. That's awesome. If it's bringing more people into baseball, I'm all for it. I'm not such a like traditionalist that everything has to stay the same all the time. Like, I just think it could just be a touch longer, just a touch. And I don't think it would affect game times that much.
Yeah, I think that I think it's more likely that they add some nuances to the rule rather than extend every pitch a certain amount. It's probably like the hitter gets another timeout.
Yeah,
or
sure.
The pitcher gets another disengagement. Like, I think that's probably more likely than they're going to add 5-7 seconds to every pitch, because I mean, then we're probably, if not there with some pitchers, I would think we're approaching what it was anyway last year, especially with runners on base.
Yeah, sure.
So I really like it, and I think tonight is a good example as to why. Like an 18-run game with 30 hits in it
took 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Years past would be a 4-hour baseball game.
Absolutely.
And it was just barely over 2.5 hours.
Wild.
Which is just insane to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Phillies moved to 4-6, and luckily for the Phillies right now, the rest of the division is sort of, acting up. The Braves went to San Diego and got beat up. Now they're winning tonight. The Mets are playing San Diego right now, and they're winning. So of course, that's happening.
Of course.
But the Phillies have an opportunity here because they've got the Marlins. Tomorrow will be tough. Luzardo's good. And then they have to face Cabrera. So, back-to-back days against really good pitchers. The good news is that the Phillies have Wheeler and Nola going.
Sure.
And then they go to Cincinnati again. So, and when they go to Cincinnati, that's an advantage for them. That's 4 games against a not very good team. The Braves go to Kansas City and the Mets go to Oakland, both not great teams. So, the good news is that it all balances out this year. You play the same teams. There's really no two ways around that.
I think especially with how the schedule sets up, you have to I think now more than ever, you have to just beat the team in front of you. Like you can't be worried about whatever might be coming next or how many games you have left against whoever team, in your division. Like you got to go out there and beat the teams that you're better than. You have to. Like we can't like lose a bunch of games to the Diamondbacks for no reason. You know what I mean? Like you just have to, because there's not like you just said, there's not as many opportunities head to head to sort of make that ground up. Yeah. You just have to, you just got to do what you got to do, man.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think with this schedule, it's just different. It's weird. It's new. And look, I think it's another positive for baseball that we're playing. No one can complain anymore about, we still get to play in our division more, but it's less than it was.
Right.
Listen, it's been a fun little run of the start to the season. And I'm feeling really excited about what's happening with this team, the way they bounced back after yesterday. Like that's a huge win. I mean, huge.
You said it
coming off of a loss like that and having to face Sandy Alcantara. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, and especially with how we have played the Marlins in the past. This was just like you said. It could very easily spiral out of control with the pitchers that the Marlins have, and to face like last year's Cy Young winner and one of the best pitchers in baseball and come out and win this way is huge. It's a huge confidence boost. Because again, they put up 7 runs against the guy. They didn't score all of them against Alcantara, but they put up the first 6 or 7 against him. Like it's huge, especially like you said, last night could have spiraled into something much worse. But but this just shuts the door on that immediately. Turner gets back with a couple hits, bunch of runs scored. Schwarber finally, gets a couple hits. Castellanos still looks great. Bohm, like just a monster shot after already having 2 singles. Stop plays well. Cave gets his first home run. He hit another bomb into right center right after Marsh's home run. Missed it by 3 feet. Mm-hmm. Marsh a double and a home run off a lefty. Great game out of him. So just, really good bounce back.
And now you got to build on it.
Yes.
And now you got to build on it because you've got 2 good pitchers coming up again. Mm-hmm. So you're not done here. No. I think you build. You have to be able to build on it. You have to be able to be successful. I think one more piece to this is Topper's got to stick with what's working, and that's Bryson Stott cannot move from the leadoff spot now.
I think, yeah.
He's got to be it. He's got to be. And I think even when Bryce is back, I actually really love, I was mapping this out in my head, so just let me do it now. Stott, Turner, Harper. I want Bohm then. Stott, Turner, Harper, Bohm. Think about the fastballs that Harper will get with Bohm hitting behind him, and then Bohm will get with Schwarber hitting behind him, and then Schwarber will get with Castellanos hitting 6th. It's nauseating. I mean, and if you want to argue that Cassie should be hitting cleanup and Bohm hitting 6th, mm-hmm. Fine, whatever. Whatever, it's fine. Because then Schwarber's getting fastballs because Bohm's hitting behind him. And then JT hitting 7th and Marsh hitting 8th, and then you and me hitting 9th. Whatever.
We can do it, buddy. I still believe in us.
But it wouldn't surprise me if they went out and got a first baseman.
No, like absolutely.
CJ Crone sticking in the middle of that lineup, and then you're really a hog heaven. So, I think Topper has to stick with what works right now, and this is what works. It's Bryson Stott hitting where he's hitting. Hey, one more thing before we go here, unless you wanted to add to that in any way.
No. I just want to see him stick to something. I think he's getting, we've talked about this just, personally. I think Topper's getting a little in his own head. I think he's getting a little antsy with this whole right, left stuff. I think he's making some decisions like a little too quickly. I think he just needs to kind of let it ride. Like Marsh has to play against lefties. You have to not only against righties should you have a bunch of lefties all at the same time. I'm not saying your whole lineup should be right. There shouldn't be 4 in a row. But you got to just go with what's working. And you have to give Marsh and Stott the ability to prove that they can hit against everybody. Because right now it gives you your best shot.
Yeah.
It gives you your best shot.
Yeah, and I think he will. I think he'll keep it. You score 15, it's going to be hard to go away from that. All right. One last question, then we'll talk about what's coming this week.
All right.
This came from Randy. And I feel like it's fair right now. Do the Phillies have the best looking lineup in baseball?
Ooh.
I mean, I feel like I'd have to do some digging.
I'd have to do some digging also.
Honestly,
I mean, Turner's a good looking guy.
Stott's a good looking guy.
Schwarber's
like that backyard barbecue good looking guy.
Yep. Castellanos with the buttons.
Forget it with Castellanos. Castellanos is he's
Bohm's coming into it. I think he's getting there. He still kind of looks like a 12-year-old, but still, that's fine.
We love Bohmer.
Edmundo's a great looking guy.
JT,
well, of course. Yeah. I mean, stick Bryson there, let's think.
Brandon Marsh has the Jason Worth look.
That's very true. I'm not a huge fan of the Jason Worth look, but he does it well.
I mean,
Garrett Stubbs is a good looking guy. Jake Cave with the salt and pepper look.
I've been told I look like Garrett Stubbs.
Yeah, sure.
I've been told that, Garrett, if you're listening, I've been told that we look alike. I have a friend listens to the show, Joe, who sends me this picture every once in a while. It's a side by side of myself and Garrett Stubbs.
I love that. Can we get that so we can post on the Twitter?
Yeah, we'll get some feedback on it.
Send it to you later. We're definitely up there.
I'd have to look into it a little bit. I'd have to see what else is out there.
There's really not a bad looking dude in the bunch.
No, I mean, even when you think about the rotation.
Yeah, Wheeler, just classic.
Yep, Nola.
Yeah. Taiwan looks fantastic.
Yeah, I'm telling you. When he said that to me, I was like, you might be right.
He might be. It'd be an interesting thought exercise for sure. But I definitely think we're up there.
Gotta be.
Yeah.
Gotta be.
Fantastic.
Gotta be.
And then just add me and you, 8 and 9. Then,
forget
over the top.
Forget it.
Over the top.
Forget it. Add CJ Crone.
You and that hat. What else do you need?
You love that.
I do love the hat.
Okay, so friends of the pod, here's what's happening this week. So we owe you another podcast because of last week with everything that went on. We definitely owe you one more. So we're gonna come back on Friday night. So we're gonna give some space between. And Friday night we're not gonna be as Phillies centric. We're gonna talk about the Phillies. We'll finish up sort of this series and looking at where they're at in the Red series at that point. But we're going to really hone in on the Sixers. Yes, that's right. We're going to hone in on the Sixers who start their playoff run on Saturday afternoon against the Nets. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to even just kind of touch on the draft too. So we're going to do all three sports on Friday night. That'll be released on Saturday morning. So a little different from us this week, but just to get us back on track before the playoffs start and the draft's going to sneak up on us. Like we're going to talk a little bit about the matchup with the Nets, and then we're going to talk about needs going into the draft for the Eagles. And then the following week we'll recap what's been played for the Sixers, and I'll have my first mock draft for the Eagles. We'll try and do 2 mock drafts before we hit into the actual draft the following week. So we'll have one next week and then the following week, and it'll be the draft week, and we'll go from there. So exciting time, Regz.
Oh, it's fantastic. Like, listen, we had a week of being a fan is what we did. We apologize for the podcast being a little bit late. We know you all look forward to it on your Friday mornings. We look forward to having it there for you. But look, we were baseball fans this week, and we were upset baseball fans for several days. And now we feel a little bit better about it. So that's where we're at. We're excited that we can share it with you. We're excited to bring you 2 pods this week. And like you said, we'll be on top of the Sixers playoffs. We'll be on top of the draft. Obviously, we will continue to talk the Phillies as the season has just begun. So lots of great stuff coming. So we appreciate it. And listen, let's talk about this. As of tonight, this podcast, and I showed you the pictures of this, has 3,366 downloads.
What is happening?
Since it was published. That is this is episode 89. So over 33 downloads an episode. That doesn't account for Spotify streams, Apple streams. If you use Google or Amazon,
y'all are nuts.
I think I've looked at this number 50 times over the past couple days. I just continue to be blown away by it. Like in the last 7 days, we have 684 downloads.
What is happening?
I don't know.
Keep going, guys.
But we appreciate you all so much. If you've shared it with some new people who are going back and listening to previous episodes, thank you so much. Continue. If you got Philadelphia sports fans in your life, let them know.
Yeah.
We will have another viewer episode. I'm sure here in the next probably month or so.
Absolutely.
We love doing those episodes, getting you guys to come on the podcast with us, talk through what you're feeling as a fellow Philly sports fan. So the support continues to be incredible. We can't thank you enough. I mean, it continues to blow us away, the amount of support for again, I continue to say this, but 2 college buddies who just decided to talk about Philly sports because
it's wild.
They love it. And we just love the fact that you guys are into it and sharing it and listening to, like, going back and listening to old episodes. It's fantastic. So we can't say thank you enough. And I can't, express how humbled we are and how much we hope that that this is just the start. Like, we don't have plans of stopping this or letting this thing die. Like, this is something we absolutely love doing, and we'll continue to do it. And just the support so far has been unbelievable.
Yeah. So if you know anybody, if you're new listening to this and you know anybody who would enjoy it, share it with them, and it keeps growing, and that's the goal, right? So yeah, we're so honored and humbled, and all of those words that mean that this means a lot to us. So we appreciate it, and certainly we'll be back, and that's why we're going to bring you a second one this week. Yeah. So other big news at the end of the week that we'll share on Friday. Not great news, but we'll share that on Friday. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already done so, click subscribe below us here if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're listening, make sure that you both follow and rate wherever you get your podcasts. The ratings will bump us and get us more exposure to people who might not know that we're out here. So please go ahead and do that. And we'd love to, we like Regz said, we're going to get some people on here soon. You can follow us over on the Phixated fan page. You can follow us on Instagram at B&B Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at the same handle, or this specific podcast at the Phixated Pod. You can follow me at the Mic Drop 5 and Regz at Big Regz with a Z. And then certainly click the merchandise link in the description. But otherwise, friends, we will talk to you on Friday evening, really Saturday morning for all of you. And we look forward to that conversation. A lot of good things going on in Philly sports. They won tonight. So here's what we'll do. Take care, everybody. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to someone else. And we'll talk to you all on Friday. Go Phils.
Go Phils.
Oh, my God. Deep to right field. Way up there and way out of here.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.